Nike landed one of the rare generational, potentially billion-dollar athletes. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, LeBron, and now Caitlin Clark.
Nike, an organization that got her on a bargain basement deal and is telling her, well, we're going to wait to promote you until we're done promoting A'ja Wilson. And she's in the middle of all of these racial discussions that she has nothing to do with, wants nothing to do with, and then they're demonizing her fans.
In April of this year, Caitlin signed an 8-year deal with Nike for up to $28 million. A super cheap contract they'll make a killing off of with a signature shoe. But despite winning unanimous WNBA Rookie of the Year, they've got no plans for a Caitlin Clark shoe.
Nike sleeping on Caitlin Clark and fans are fuming. How did the biggest name in sports miss out on basketball's hottest star? Clark crushing it on the court, breaking records left and right. But Nike is not saying a word about what's going on here, and what is Adidas doing about it?
Caitlin Clark has just been named the 2024 Rookie of the Year. Clark's rookie season, it was historic. She had the most points in a rookie campaign, the most assists in any season ever, and she even messed around and got a pair of triple-doubles, something no other rookie has ever done.
Let's break down just how incredible Clark's been. She's not just good, she's rewriting the record books in her rookie season. She snagged the Rookie of the Year title like it was nothing. But that's not all she's packing. Arenas selling out merch and making fans lose their minds. Can you believe the impact she's having?
It seemed to be like a fantastic deal. Now, since she has signed this contract, you guys, and her WNBA season has come and gone. And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark signature shoes.
Now you might be wondering, why isn't Nike all over this? They've got the next big thing in basketball right under their nose, but they're acting like Clark doesn't exist. No ads, no commercials, no nothing. It's like they're allergic to success.
Well, Caitlin originally signed an NIL deal with Nike when she blew up in college. She was so popular, Caitlin was the most recognized college player in the country by far, twice as much as second place Angel Reese, 4 times more than the most popular men's player. That's never happened. So when she turned pro, several shoe companies were after her. Under Armour said she'd be the face of Curry brand.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Is Nike playing some kind of long game we can't see? Or are they about to fumble the biggest opportunity in women's basketball?
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her?
Make sure you subscribe for good luck. Nike's got Caitlin Clark on their roster, but they're acting like she doesn't exist. No ads, no merch, nothing. What's the real story behind this $28 million silent treatment?
Seems to me that it is more on the political side as to why Caitlin Clark is not getting the praise, the commercials, the ads, the merch, like all of the things that she should have gotten during this rookie season. Nike hasn't produced one ad or commercial featuring Clark since she turned pro, and despite a signature shoe being part of Nike's agreement with Clark, it may not be released until 2026, according to sports business reporter Ethan Strauss. He reports Nike wants to prioritize A'ja Wilson, and it fears the optics of giving a rookie a signature shoe before an already established star who just won league MVP for the 3rd time.
Let's break down this deal that's got everyone scratching their heads. Clark signed an 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike. That's not chump change, folks. This kind of money usually comes with the works. We're talking signature sneakers, billboards, commercials, the whole 9 yards. But what's Nike doing? Nothing.
A woman that becomes the biggest star in sports earlier this year, February, around that time, and goes all the way through the NCAA tournament, ends in early April. The next week, or within a week or 10 days, they have the WNBA draft, and ratings fly through the roof. These women all dress up appropriately, mostly as women. The WNBA draft is this huge success, and it's like, anybody that's paying attention, like, this is the biggest star in sports. And then a week or two later, she's into a WNBA camp, and then by early May, she's playing WNBA games?
You might be thinking, okay, but maybe they're just warming up. Clark's been crushing it on the court, breaking records and selling out arenas. She's the hottest thing in basketball right now. So where's all the hype from Nike?
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have fucked this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried.
Why in the world are they being so quiet about Caitlin? Either one, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes at Nike. Their stock has dropped like 20% this year. I know that they have fired people, hired new people, like there's a lot of moving parts.
Here's where things get weird. No commercials, no ads, no merchandise. It's like Nike forgot they signed one of the most exciting players in the game. Can you imagine having LeBron James on your team and not putting him in a single ad? That's basically what's happening here with Clark.
But when she turned pro, several shoe companies were after her. Under Armour said she'd be the face of Curry brand, Adidas, and Nike. She stayed with Nike because of how they marketed her in college, and everyone waited on news of that signature shoe. But no update. Then Asia Wilson, who just won another MVP, announced her shoe, and a strange detail about Caitlin came out. Asia Wilson just announced her signature shoe with Nike is on the way after beginning the process in 2023. Wilson's shoe is expected to be released spring of 2025. Under this 2-year time frame, Clark's shoe could hit stores sometime in 2026-27. What?
Now you might be wondering what's Nike's game plan. Some people are saying they might be putting all their chips on other players like AJ Wilson. But here's the kicker. We might not see Clark's signature shoe until 2026 or 2027. That's ages away in the world of sports. But hold on, is Nike playing chess while we're all stuck in checkers? Maybe there's more to this strategy than meets the eye? Are they building up anticipation, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash Clark on the world? Or have they truly dropped the ball on one of the biggest opportunities in women's basketball?
Now they have this woman, and she's made the WNBA relevant. And I'm like, why isn't she being promoted? And how did Nike get her at such a reasonable, wasn't it at 22 or 32?
$28 million.
$28 million over 8 years. I'm like, that doesn't add up to me.
While Nike's been playing it cool, Adidas came in hot, recognizing Caitlin Clark's achievements. Like they were handing out candy on Halloween. They stepped up and filled that promotional void Nike left wide open. And they didn't just do it quietly. They brought in the big guns.
She owns the record for most points scored in men's and women's Division I. And she set every record you possibly can set for Iowa, for women's basketball. She just absolutely did it all and became a magnet for attention and an icon for sports fans, certainly little girls, certainly mine as well, playing her basketball and watching her play.
But Adidas didn't stop there. They saw how Clark's Indiana Fever jersey was flying off the shelves faster than you can say three-pointer. We're talking record-breaking sales here, folks. It's like everyone and their grandma wants a piece of Clark's success.
For the first time ever, they have a superstar in this league that not only has the ability to draw a mainstream audience, she also has the ability to play actual basketball.
2 years ago, their home attendance was 1,800 fans. Their average this year, home attendance, is 17,000. That's almost 10 times. And, of course, the big difference is Caitlin Clark. I think she should be up for MVP.
We just watched one of the most unique experiences in the history of sports. And I'm talking about the Caitlin Clark experience.
Think about it. Clark's not just winning games, she's winning everybody's hearts. She's drawing in viewers like a magnet, selling merch like it's going out of style. And Adidas, they're right there riding that wave of popularity. It's like they found the golden ticket to the women's sports marketing factory.
I know the mainstream media wants us to believe that the WNBA is surging in popularity. I know analysts like Monica McDougal at ESPN. They want us to recognize elite layup missers and failed dunkers. But what Casey has been telling you guys all season, it has been true. What I have said countless times over the past few months, it is finally being proven without a shadow of a doubt. Caitlin Clark is a megastar. Caitlin Clark is a box office draw, while the rest of the WNBA, it is nothing but a polished turd.
Caitlin Clark, almost unanimous, -1. Angel Reese received one first place vote for Rookie of the Year.
Stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is.
A WNBA legend has been caught red-handed, scheming against Caitlin Clark in the Rookie of the Year race. Until today, no one had any idea which veteran player went out of her way to bribe a journalist to vote against Clark, but now she's been exposed, with solid proof. And here's the kicker. You might be disappointed because chances are you've been cheering her on all season, thinking she's a true icon. Meanwhile, she's been secretly seething with jealousy.
So we've got somebody out there who is casting votes for Angel Reese. I say somebody. I mean, I suppose it could have been one person who voted for Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year and another person who voted for Angel for MVP.
Why? Because Clark stole all the spotlight in just one season, something that took this legend years to build. Need a hint? The same day Caitlin Clark secured Rookie of the Year, this so-called legend claimed the biggest WNBA title of the year. Got a name in mind? If you think you figured it out, brace yourself. This story goes way deeper than just a single bad vote.
That somebody is trolling Angel Reese because these are sports people, supposedly. These are members of the media. These are people who write about sports, who broadcast about sports.
And believe me, up until now, you've only been fed the basic stats. Caitlin Clark averaged a jaw-dropping 19.2 points per game, dished out 8.4 assists like she was handing out candy, and grabbed 5.7 rebounds just for good measure. Sure, that sounds impressive, but that's just scratching the surface. What's even crazier? Despite Clark dominating almost every rookie stat you can think of, she still didn't receive a unanimous Rookie of the Year vote.
You were making the point, do you want to promote the league or not? And people like Andrea and others were resistant to that playing a role in somebody making the roster.
Nope. Instead of every single vote going to the obvious choice, one solitary vote went to Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. And this wasn't just some harmless fluke. This was the kind of rogue move that sent shockwaves through the league, leaving fans scratching their heads and analysts scrambling to explain it. Let's be real, if there was ever a rookie who deserved a unanimous win, it was Caitlin Clark. So, why didn't she get it? What's the story behind that one oddball vote?
Stephen A., I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving.
Turns out, when the dust settled, Caitlin Clark grabbed 66 out of 67 votes for Rookie of the Year, ROTE. The votes came from a mix of 43 national sports writers and 24 local journalists across various WNBA markets. That's a lot of people agreeing on something. So how does one stray vote sneak in? This wasn't just someone trying to be a rebel or have a different take. This vote was a sucker punch aimed at tarnishing Clark's perfect season. A calculated move to ensure her record wouldn't be spotless. That's when things get interesting. This wasn't just about Angel Reese getting a random nod. Someone was trying to sabotage Clark's perfect roadie sweep. But who? Not Cheryl Swoops. She doesn't even have voting authority here, so let's scratch that theory. The real twist came when it was revealed that the rogue vote came from journalist Cameron Duncan, and suddenly everyone started asking the same question. Why Reese? Sure, Reese had decent stats, but she wasn't even close to Clark's record-breaking season. So why would Duncan cast his vote for her? Well, rumor has it this wasn't Duncan acting alone. Word on the street is that WNBA superstar Aja Wilson had something to do with it. That's right, the same Aja Wilson who has been dominating the league and collecting trophies left and right. But why would a star like Wilson get involved in something as petty as a single roadie vote? here's where it gets wild. In 2024, A'ja Wilson became the first player since Cynthia Cooper in 1997 to unanimously win the MVP award, receiving all 67 votes, every single one. It was a massive achievement, making her the only player in modern WNBA history to pull off a unanimous MVP.
You know, the WNBA continues to kill the golden goose. Now, I must clarify something. A lot of you are hitting me up with, why hasn't the WNBA talked about their Rookie of the Year award since Caitlin Clark, it's been released, is the Rookie of the Year? Well, they haven't announced any awards.
But then along came Caitlin Clark, rising through the ranks and threatening to outshine A'ja Wilson's moment of glory. Suddenly, Wilson wasn't about to let some rookie waltz in and take away the one thing that set her apart, a perfect MVP record. When Clark started racking up roadie votes, Wilson allegedly stepped in, determined to ensure that Clark wouldn't achieve something she never did, a unanimous Rookie of the Year win. This is where things go from petty to full-blown drama. Duncan's vote for Angel Reese wasn't a random act. It was orchestrated. Sources suggest that Wilson nudged Duncan into voting for Reese, not because Reese was more deserving, she wasn't even close, but purely to block Clark's unanimous win. This was a power play, plain and simple. Wilson wanted to keep Clark from achieving a perfect roadie sweep, preventing her from being the only player with that kind of flawless record. It wasn't about Clark being an immediate threat. It was about Clark potentially overshadowing Wilson's legacy down the line. So Wilson made her move, using Duncan as the pawn in this calculated game to preserve her place at the top.
Why don't you like Angel Reese? Why don't you like the black people? You black. Why don't, they made it a race thing. They made it you can't stand her thing. They made it all this stuff. And I'm making it a basketball thing. As a former player, as a former coach, as a person who just got eyes to see, Angel Reese was not going to be Rookie of the Year. There really wasn't a contest.
She needs to be on a better team.
With the WNBA season ending for many teams, there are already so many players heading overseas to play during the offseason.
ESPN is upset about Caitlin Clark's new European contract, acting as if they have any say in her choices. They don't. Clark's made her decision and isn't looking back, no matter how much they complain or plead. Why? Because Clark respects herself and has more sense than the WNBA's leadership. She knows her worth and won't stay in a league that can't even protect its top players. Why should she?
For the first time ever, they have a superstar in this league that not only has the ability to draw a mainstream audience, she also has the ability to play actual basketball.
She's been roughed up by players, ignored by refs, and targeted by haters who couldn't stand the fact that she was single-handedly keeping this joke of a league afloat.
There's going to be a significant amount of less fans watching the WNBA now that Caitlin is no longer in the picture.
Now that Caitlin Clark has realized she's worth more than beating the WNBA's beaten-up cash cow, everyone's losing their minds. Sorry, ESPN, your golden goose is gone, and all you've got left is a nest of missed opportunities. Clark just dropped a bombshell on the WNBA, and it's almost funny how ESPN suddenly pretends to care now that she's choosing Europe. She's done with the WNBA's circus act and is heading overseas, leaving behind broken dreams and shattered egos. After carrying the league all season, enduring brutal fouls, and getting body checked like she was in a hockey game, she's finally had enough. And honestly, I don't blame her one bit.
I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets. She's just not built for the physicality of this league.
Nope. Instead of every single vote going to the obvious choice, one solitary vote went to Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. And this wasn't just some harmless fluke. This was the kind of rogue move that sent shockwaves through the league, leaving fans scratching their heads and analysts scrambling to explain it. Let's be real, if there was ever a rookie who deserved a unanimous win, it was Caitlin Clark. So, why didn't she get it? What's the story behind that one oddball vote?
It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league. because her fans are so racist.
Now ESPN and their so-called experts are finally waking up. How convenient. Suddenly they realized they had a cash cow all along. Before Caitlin, the Indiana Fever struggled to draw 3,000 fans per game, making it feel more like a neighborhood block party than a professional event. But once she hit the scene, that number shot up to 177,000 fans packing the arena every game, a 400% increase.
2 years ago, their home attendance was 1,800 fans. Their average this year, home attendance, is 17,000. That's almost 10 times. And, of course, the big difference is Caitlin Clark. I think she should be up for MVP.
How's that for impact? They didn't just have a star, they had a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. But instead of celebrating the player who single-handedly put the WNBA on the map, they're more focused on spreading the wealth.
I know the mainstream media wants us to believe that the WNBA is surging in popularity. I know analysts like Monica McDougal at ESPN. They want us to recognize elite layup missers and failed dunkers. But what Casey has been telling you guys all season, it has been true. What I have said countless times over the past few months, it is finally being proven without a shadow of a doubt. Caitlin Clark is a megastar. Caitlin Clark is a box office draw, while the rest of the WNBA, it is nothing but a polished turd.
As for Angel Reese in all of this, she was just caught in the crossfire, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her stats were solid but nowhere near Rookie of the Year material, but she was the perfect distraction. Someone whose name would keep people debating long enough for Wilson to walk away clean. Reese got some unearned attention, Duncan took the heat for the rogue vote, and Wilson, she got to sit back, pretending she had nothing to do with it, until now. Now, everyone's connecting the dots, and Wilson's little scheme is unraveling for the entire league to see. Meanwhile, you've got people like Molly chiming in, claiming players like Clark aren't even talented enough to be making accusations in the first place. Really? Clark?
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have fucked this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they tried.
What's worse is that the WNBA's response to this entire mess was almost non-existent. No official statements, no investigations, just silence. It's as if the league is hoping the storm will blow over and everyone will forget. But the fans won't forget, and neither will Caitlin Clark. When a unanimous Rookie of the Year win is stolen in plain sight, it's not just one player who loses. The entire sport suffers. As for A'ja Wilson, sure, she may have kept her perfect MVP record intact. But
if your only argument for Caitlin is that it would have been a great marketing opportunity and you don't have basketball experience or chemistry with the group listed in your reasoning, I don't want to hear it.
The physicality Clark faced in the league was beyond brutal. Forget defense, it was like stepping into a street fight every time she laced up her shoes. She was getting hammered, shoved, elbowed, pretty much every dirty trick in the book. And how did the league respond? By pretending nothing was happening. Imagine being a rising star, the face of a franchise, and the league treats you like a punching bag.
Stephen A., I could actually argue that it hurts the game more if they had given her a roster spot over someone more deserving. Because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, okay, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented, we're not putting the best team out there.
And don't even get me started on the officiating. Was there any? If you watched any of her games, it looked like the refs were playing see no evil, hear no evil, while Clark got manhandled on the court.
Like, me and Caitlin Clark don't hate each other. Like, I want everybody to understand that it's just a super competitive game, and like I would just wish people realize that like once I get between those lines, it's no friends. People are just trying to make it seem like it's something, but I love Caitlin, I love her game, and I admire everything she's done.
She literally said she felt hammered out there, and what did the WNBA do? shrugged it off like it was just another Tuesday. The infamous eye poke incident should have been a wake-up call for everyone, but instead, the WNBA turned a blind eye, pun intended, acting like it's normal for a star player to get treated like an outsider in their own league.
A woman that becomes the biggest star in sports earlier this year, February, around that time, and goes all the way through the NCAA tournament, ends in early April. The next week, or within a week or 10 days, they have the WNBA draft, and ratings fly through the roof. These women all dress up appropriately, mostly as women. The WNBA draft is this huge success, and it's like, anybody that's paying attention, like, this is the biggest star in sports. And then a week or two later, she's into a WNBA camp. And then by early May, she's playing WNBA games.